Hey everyone, in today's video I'll be redrawing an old portrait illustration from last year to see how much I've improved. I'm using Krita 5 for this new drawing, while the old one was done using Krita 4. I typically use Pinterest to find references, as most artists do, and then use a software called PureRef to keep all my references organized. This helps me to easily compare my work to the references and make sure that my proportions and details are accurate. Now, onto the drawing itself. The old drawing was done in Krita 4, as I already mentioned, and during that drawing, I was mainly experimenting with the software and its brushes and all that good stuff. But for the new drawing here, I'm more comfortable with the software, and I have a good idea about what brushes and features I like to use and all that, so it was a rather straightforward process compared to the old drawing. I started my drawing with a rough sketch. This is an important step because it helps me define the proportions and the structure of my subject, and make my final drawing look more accurate and aesthetically pleasing. After I was happy with my rough proportions and guidelines, I started adding some details while still keeping it super rough. I struggled with the mouth quite a bit, as you can see. Later, I added a new layer to create a refined line art. However, in the end, I didn't end up using the line art and went back to my rough sketch. I found that using the rough sketch helped me to keep my lines loose, which I really like. I feel like it takes away the pressure of making a perfect illustration and just lets me enjoy the process, which is super important, and which is why I draw at all. For this drawing, I only used a few brushes, a basic rectangle brush that changes angle with the pen angle, an airbrush, a hard round brush, and a smudge brush. I only use these few brushes because they do everything I need to do. I don't really use too many fancy brushes at all. I don't care too much about using fancy brushes. I just use the brush that does what I want, and these few brushes accomplish that for me. When it comes to choosing colors, I usually rely on my intuition, but I try to consider color theory as much as I can. My coloring style is inspired by the semi-realistic Korean webtoon art styles, if you couldn't tell already. One of my favorite parts of drawing is coloring the lips and mouth, because I just like lips and mouths. I really like how certain Korean comics make the lips look so juicy, and that is the aesthetic I always aim for. On the other hand, I struggled a lot with coloring the hair. Coloring hair is something that I find really difficult, and the end result wasn't as good as it could have been. I have very little experience with coloring hair. I could have refined it a little more in this drawing, but I'm too lazy to do that. Hair just isn't something I vibe with. I hope to be able to draw beautiful hair someday, but that day is not today. At this point of the drawing, I brought back my initial sketch layer to see what it would look like. I thought it looked pretty cool, so I refined it by erasing and editing bits and pieces to fit the drawing better. I feel like I ended up making the area around the eyes look pretty dark, but whatever. I then added a filter layer on top of all the other layers to darken my drawing so that I could paint the lights on a new layer. I like painting lights in a different layer because it gives me a lot of flexibility when it comes to the color, intensity, and direction of the light. I experimented a lot with different layer blending modes for the lights, but wasn't really happy with any of them. I also added a secondary light source with a different color and direction to make things look more interesting. In the end, I realized that my light and shadow values weren't accurate, which was throwing off my drawing. Finally, I added a very simple background to make it look like it had some depth. After I stopped recording, I edited the drawing a little bit by changing the shoulder position and fixing my values, and some minor changes to make it look nicer. Overall, I'm really happy with how the drawing turned out. As you can see, it has better proportions and structure compared to the old one. The rendering also looks nicer than the previous one, if I do say so myself, and I think that I've made a lot of progress in the past year. Let me know in the comments what you think about the changes in my drawing. There's obviously a lot more to learn, and I'm really excited to continue improving. Now, for anyone new to this channel, please know that my channel is mainly focused on 3D art and Blender, and I don't plan to do too many videos on drawing. So, if you want to see my 3D art journey, please do stick around. And to my subscribers, this past week, I didn't get around to creating as many models as I'd like, so there's no video of that this week. But I will do more 3D videos soon, and I will make my 2 original base models that I mentioned in the last video. Before I leave, I like to mention that 70 to 80% of the script of this video was done using OpenAI's ChatGPT. I was just playing around with it and thought, why not use it for a video? I thought this was something that I had to mention in the end. But other than that, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you later.